begin. So welcome. I'm Ashley and I'm going to be discussing today extended school year. So I'm not sure about all of you, if you are all parents, if you're professionals, maybe you can type in the chat and let me know who's here today. That would be great. And maybe if you're a parent, if you could let us know, if you'd like, let me know the age group of your child. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ashley Baker, and I've been a parent consultant with Utah Parent Center for about 12 years. I did take a 3-year break and I worked for the early intervention program, working with the younger kiddos, birth to age 3, which brought me a lot of experience. Here is my family. As you can see, I am a mom of all men. They're all growing up, and my son with a disability is graduating this year. I can't believe it's flown by. It's kind of crazy. It looks like people are already saying 15-year-old with autism. Oh, a swim teacher, is that what I saw there? Let's see. Oh, I've got some really great ideas for swimming, so I will keep that in mind and get back to that. Developmental delays. It's really great to see a little bit more about you, because I'm talking about myself, and a lot of these things that you guys are saying relate to me as well. So my son that I said is in high school, he actually is a triplet, and his sister is no longer with us, but his twin brother is neurotypical, and he has been a huge driving force in helping support us to make sure Aiden has had all the advantages with typical students his whole life. So I feel that has been a huge blessing in our life to be able to put him with typical peers to see what he can do. So that's enough about me and my family. Let's get started on ESY. So I want you to think, I mean, summer's approaching, right? And we've got a lot of things on our mind, probably getting our kids to finish up this school year. And this whole extended school year maybe has been on your mind all along, and maybe it hasn't, but this is a good opportunity to learn the ins and outs of what the program really is. And I really want you to think about these following questions, because these may pertain to your experience with your student coming through this summer, or something that you have already experienced with your student with breaks that they have seen, long extended breaks, maybe like not just summer breaks, but maybe a holiday break from school, and you might have some experience there already. So take a second and look at these questions and think, has my child ever had significant regression, or will they possibly? How long will it take them to catch up once they start school? Is this something that they're going to catch on to and be able to move forward quicker? There might be some regression, but how big is that?
Ashley?
Will the progress made by your student that they have made this school year, will they be in significant danger of not knowing that content once starting the next school year? So where will they be? All right, let's move to this next slide. So what else should you know about ESY? First, extended school year, I want to give you the big description, right, of what it is. So educational services that extend outside the traditional school year. So they're offered to children who are receiving special education services under IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, okay? These services are part of the special education instruction or related services that normally they would receive as part of their IEP. So these are not for all students on IEPs. I want you to be aware of this. Not all students are eligible. We're going to talk a little bit about that eligibility in a moment here. So, and it is a team decision, and it's based on your child's needs. So this isn't just a decision we as parents say, hey, my child needs this because they're in special education. There needs to be specific reasons. You can ask for ESY programming through your school district, and you can talk about it at your next IEP meeting. I'm assuming that most of you have had your IEP meetings at this point. If not, and you still have questions, you need to get in touch with your school and possibly even make another IEP meeting to discuss what those extended school year services look like. Based on your child's needs are heavily looked at here. So upon determination of this eligibility of these ESY services, the IEP team will analyze your student, whether or not they run the risk of regression during the school break. I want you to really think about what regression is for your student. So this is all data driven as well. They'll also analyze recovery. How much time will it take your student to recover their skills and their knowledge that they may have lost over this summer break? So if it's likely that the summer break or school breaks run the risk of significant regression in the progress that your child has already made, or if the progress of your student will take a long time to recover after the break, the school will determine that these services may be necessary to, in order to keep this from happening. So regression is a key word here. So these services are also provided at no cost to the parent. And most often these services are provided during the summer, but they will differ in duration and can differ whether, that timing of when it happens or how long your school is open and the needs of your student. So it really depends on your school district or your charter school schedule. So this isn't just something that we just say, hey, my child takes a nap at this time. That won't work for me. So there typically is a schedule, but we are looking at the individual needs of your students. So let's talk about a few more points here. So for eligible students, each ESY program is adapted specifically for your child, like I suggested, and it's according to their IEP, and there is not a generalized curriculum. So here's an example for you. So say your child will regress in speech and language, that they're found that they potentially or will regress during the summer vacation. And so their ESY program should be centered around speech and language skills. So we look at the need, and then we look at the supports that are necessary. Some of these ESY services don't have to be in person. In fact, many students may require fewer supports and so some of this instruction may be in terms of worksheets or things that would be sent home and implemented with the parent or the caregiver. So there may be some students that require even more support at school, and they could potentially also be eligible for full-time ESY. So this definitely is a team decision. This isn't something that is just taken lightly. All of a sudden, oh, we just, this is what we're going to do. It is a team decision, and you're part of that team. So you have a gut feeling, you've seen some regression, you've got data to show that this is what you've seen from your child, and this is the rate that you have seen them recover. Definitely bring that to the table because you are a part of that team. So can a parent refuse ESY services? Absolutely. A parent can, even if their child is eligible, or there may be a summer schedule that it won't accommodate your student. So just keep that in mind, that you can refuse those services for your students. So what is not ESY? It's not childcare. We all know that, right? It's almost like it's a given. We all understand that this is a learning piece, right? So it's also not a continuation of their IEP services that were provided during the regular school year. So it's going to look differently, okay? It does not intend to teach new skills Rather, it intends to maintain skills that your student has already required. So we are not looking at new materials, new instruction, new skills to be taught. We are looking at maintaining skills. It's the full effect of what ESY is. So it's not an automatic program also for your child from year to year. So your child qualified last year, that doesn't mean that your child needs that this year or the year after. It's going to be looked at from year to year to year. And there's a section on the IEP that states, like, I know on my son's IEP, sometimes when he was younger, it would say ESY services would be considered at a later date. So there needed to be a discussion later in the school year to look at a little bit more data to see, does he really need to require that? So I would suggest looking at that IEP and seeing what is written in for those ESY services. And it's not mandated for all students. We did talk about that already. Okay, so key takeaways for this program. I hope that, you know, I had to compile this very shortly so that we could, you know, have a really good discussion. But the main takeaway is it's not for new instruction, the materials, or new skills, but it's to avoid the loss of the skill during that break. Okay, I remember, like, even with my own son, sometimes we would have a loss of skills, but he could recover quite quickly, depending, I would say, depending on what school year it was. I would say the younger years, we really had concerns with memory and retention, but we found that sometimes, you know, we just had refreshers at the beginning of the year and he could catch up quicker. But an IEP is individualized. Your student's needs are meant to be individualized. So just because my student was that way doesn't mean your student is. Okay, Rebecca, I'm going to just answer Rebecca's really quickly. Is a child who's graduating this year still eligible? If they are graduating with a diploma, that ends FAPE. So no, they are not eligible for ESY services because this is under IDEA, and they have to be receiving specialized instruction services on the IEP. So I'm not sure if they're, maybe is your student graduating with a certificate of completion? I'm not sure, Rebecca, but these are some things we can personally talk to you by calling the Parent Center, and we have plenty of parent consultants that can talk to you about that. But if your student is graduating with a diploma, that ends FAPE. So it will end services. ESY can address not just academia, they can address behavioral skills, communication needs, organizational skills, all these things that we look at the full child, right? So we don't look at just the math skills or the reading skills, those types of things. We look at how is a student going to retain the progress that they have made, and will they be able to keep maintaining that? Let's see. I hope I answered your question, Rebecca.
You did.
Okay, great. So let's have a discussion here. I first wanted to tell you a little bit about what I did when my son did not qualify for ESY services for some of those years, because you really have to be, I don't want to say, there are a lot of factors here, right? And I really tried as a parent to figure out what I could do to maintain supports here at home when he didn't qualify for ESY. And honestly, he, out of his 18 years, only qualified for 2 years out of those 18 years. Do all schools, including charters, offer? And if not, do they have an option to go to another school? Every charter schools are district schools, and they have to follow the same law under IDEA. So you need to be talking to your charter school because they are a public school. And yes, they should be extending ESY services. Some charter schools do have contracts with other schools if they don't have a program already in place, but they also may do worksheets and things like that and send home. Maybe they're contracted out with, say, an occupational therapist or something. But yes, they are under the obligation under IDEA, a charter school. Keep the questions coming through, you guys, because I know we've got the swimming one I'm going to address as well. So swimming, my son really needed social interaction and he needed something to keep himself a little bit busy. I am a parent who I think academia is really important, but I also believe kids can burn out as well. And I really wanted to have that balance. And I think finding that balance between fun and continued learning is really key here. So in looking at that, there's something that I put my son in, and I'm not sure where this parent is from, but there was a swim program called the Otter Swim Club that my son, we put him in starting in elementary, and he did it all the way through 9th grade, but they take even high school age, and it was phenomenal. It was one-on-one swim lessons, and it helps build his confidence. It helped him get some physical activity, and it was phenomenal for us. So that is a program I definitely, if you want to call our center, I can look into that for you. I know there's one at Dimpledale, there's one at West Jordan. So there are some rec clubs that typically have those swim clubs. And I mean, I can't rave enough about it. It was huge for our son, for his confidence, I would say. And I tried putting him in the typical swimming lessons and he just wasn't passing. And I wanted to try that first just to see how he would do. But he, by the second time, like he was starting to realize, okay, I can't even blow bubbles in the water at this point because of some of his sensory overload. And I didn't want him to feel that he couldn't do it. So we just shifted direction, and that's okay. If you have to shift direction, that's fine. You know, everything is a trial and error when we're trying things with our kids. What other, let's see, we've got library programs that you can look into. A lot of free things going on at the library, computer classes. I know that, I'm trying to think here, Rebecca, you were asking about it sounds like your child's graduating, so they're at this older year. So I think that's really important to look at things that really hone in on things that they could be doing more in their age appropriate type activities. So we've got, there's also, we've got Leslie putting up here, understood.org. She's put this up here. They've got some really great summer reading logs and planners and things like that. What I would emphasize on, if you've got some major concerns about your child's retention and they're not qualifying for those extended school year services, which I hope you know that there is a process to be able to appeal that if you feel that that's something that needs to be looked at as well. And that is through our dispute resolution. There's an appeal process that can also be looked at. So Eva, let's see, our developmental physician just discovered your 8-year-old has a delay. Okay. She asked me again, IEP 504 social issues and delays. Strides, OT, okay. You have to be on an IEP in order to receive extended school year services. Special education under IDEA is a requirement. So no, not yet. You do have to have that IEP. The process is navigate and learning to process. Oh, well, this definitely can be a discussion on a more private level, because I can tell you that, oh, we actually have our next lunch and learn that is not this next one, the one after, the differences between the IEP and section 504. So register for that. That's going to be a very great session for you to be a part of, because there are a lot of great things to be had there. There are a lot of programs that can address these needs as well in our community. So when you're looking for things other than just private through insurance and things like that, there are some play groups, there are adaptive recreation, there I mean, it's endless. And we have a summer resource list also that Leslie's going to put up here, where it's defined by your area as well. So please don't think that there isn't anything out there. All of the parent consultants at the Parent Center, we all have a child with a disability, and they have different ranges of needs, but we talk, we hear about these great programs, and that's what we're here for. We want to be able to share them with you and understand what your specific needs are. Leslie also put up here the summer and sensory processing concerns and needs that can be looked at as well. Tutoring programs that are out there, yes, most of them are paid. I can tell you that 5th grade was make or break with our son, and some of those reading things that we had been working with him. And so I found a really great reading program that was given at Salt Lake Community College, put him in that, and he actually started loving to read, and that was phenomenal. And I was concerned, thinking this is for typical students, but I was able to talk to the teacher, and she was able to adapt and work with me with my students. So don't be afraid when you are venturing out to some of those private, tutoring and activity arenas to have a discussion and see what they can do for children. Let's see what else. There's a resource list that she's put up there. There's a lot. I use the library extensively with my kids. It's been wonderful. And if you go and talk to the librarian in the children's section, they're so knowledgeable. I know that sounds maybe not possible, but it is. They can come up with some really great reading ideas for your student. And you can say, okay, these are the things that they are reading in school. Even if it's a way lower level, that's fine. My son, he loved natural disasters. So she was like, okay, this Treehouse series is for your son. This is what he will love these. Or it was like the Warriors Cat series. I mean, she was the one that really helped me hone in on what his things that he loved, to be able to find appropriate books to get him excited. What time frame does ESY come into play? When do you know if you qualify, and when are the assignments made? Okay, if you do not already know, you need to call your school. I want you to pull up that IEP, and I want you to look on that section, because I would say if you've already had your IEP meeting, it should have already been determined by this point. So Trish, if you don't know, call your school and let them know you have some questions and concerns about ESY for your student, and see if your student is even on a list or eligible. They should have discussed this at your IEP meeting. Do you recall, Trish, having that conversation with them? It's probably not on your radar when you're going through the whole IEP. I know myself, I really hone in on those goals, and ESY is like, it was not discussed. Okay, if you do not have a copy of your IEP, I'd call your school today and I'd go get copies of your IEP, because it will probably be one of the last things on there. I know in my school district, which is Jordan School District, it is above the placement. So there should be a checkbox depending on, every IEP does look differently from whatever program your school is using, but it is on there. If you need help going through that where we can find it together, I definitely can do that. And any parent consultant can go through and help you find where it is on the IEP. But it may be on there and they could have marked, you know what, they're not eligible, but it should have been a discussion. Shouldn't just be a checkbox that one member clicked off. It should be you as a part of that discussion. I will ask my school, do they last all summer? No, every district has their time allotment, because I know a lot of schools close down for even a month for teachers, but these are professionals who will be working with your student. But I haven't seen it last all summer in my district, but you'll need to ask your school the length and the time frame for that. And transportation could also be included in that as well, if they qualify for those for those services. So you'll want to be asking if they qualify, how is my child going to get there? What does it look like? What supports are going to be worked on? Are there going to be related services, OT, speech, or is it just going to be reading, behavior supports? It could be, 3 or 4 things that I just discussed.
Ashlie,
Yes.
could you clarify, will they be specifically working on specific goals for the child within the IEP during the summer, or is it kind of an overall working with every child, not just specifically yours?
I want to say it depends. We're going to be looking at the area of need where they're going to be losing a skill. Okay, so there may be a goal on there that your child has made progress and they feel that the progress looks great. However, over Christmas break, a lot of that progress really dipped down, and your team may say, hey, we see a lot of progress here, but we want to make sure that those skills are not going to fall. I'm slipping up on my words here. So it really depends. So I wish I could just say, yes, this is everything it will look like, but it won't. It's based on those retention of skills that are needed. So that's kind of open-ended. Does your IEP team determine the goals and areas they regress in? Yes, it is a team decision, and it may be a goal that's already on the IEP. Typically, that's what it is, because it may be a goal that it should be something that they already have data on. It's not something that they're just going to say, hey, we think your child, it's based on data that they already have. So the goal could look a little bit differently depending. I'm not sure if it would be the exact goal carried over, but it should be a discussion. And the parent, yes, is a part of the discussion. Absolutely. You are part of the IEP team. And I hope you guys know that. Like, I don't want you to, I think that a fear being a parent is, are they making decisions without me? Because we know our kiddos, right? We know their needs. We know their strengths, and I think that really needs to be brought to the table, and it is a lot. You are a team member. What other questions do we have? We have 1 minute. Let's see if I have it. Oh, one other thing, I asked you to get your IEP. Look at those goals. Give us a call. Let us help you think of some creative ways that you can work on those goals at home. We have some really great behavior supports that you could be doing at home. Things in terms of like flexibility for your student, depending on what their needs are. Like, we've got a lot of tools in our tool belt. So give us a call and we can base some really great things that you can be working on there at home with your child. Also the school behavior plan. What does it look like? How can that be utilized at home during the summer as well?
And Ashlie, I would even say asking your team, asking the teachers, do you have something, or do you recommend something that my student work on during the summer? Do you have a resource for that information, or even behavior? How can I modify this to be something that can be worked on at home?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been working with your child all year. I would hope that they would know your student by this point and be able to give some really helpful suggestions and resources that they've come across even in their teaching with your student. They know, I mean, ask your teacher, say, do you know any online math programs or games that my child could be working on over the summer, and use those as rewards and incentives for your student. Hey, they don't need to know it's work. That's the way I like to. I think learning needs to be fun. And sometimes when there's burnout, it's overwhelming and they shut down. So we need to make it as fun as possible, because that family time is really important, and sometimes it's just going to be play, and that's okay. So I just put this last thing up here as well. The summer activities and resources. I know Leslie put the link on there, but I just didn't know if you want to do a screenshot of this as well. Did you have something else, Leslie?
I have launched the poll. If you would take a minute to put answers into this poll, it's really helpful for us to figure out if our workshops are relevant and what we need to do to give and provide more information for you. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we know what you guys want to hear, and if this was informative. And yes, it was only 30 minutes, but I had a great time reading your comments, and thank you so much for asking these. And please reach out to us. Give us a call. Our main line is 801-272-1051. Free consultations. Just give us a call. We'd love to help support.